These towering dolls were Viktor and Rolf's offering at last year's Winter 2017 Fashion Week, held in July. It was an opportunity for the Dutch duo to reinvent some classic winter pieces. Indulgent padding combined with high-tech Japanese fabrics provided a protective layer against the elements. The heavy-duty Doc Martens boots a reminder that these dolls were not to be messed with. The best designers invent fashion afresh each season. Danish designer Hyun Mi Nielsen was born in South Korea and now lives in Paris.
I started looking at the folk costume, you know, like black and white, very graphic pictures with lots of texture. So there's like ruffles and smocking and bows. And then it also expanded into other things that I always revisit. So, you know, like 50s couture, there's you know, like music reference or texture reference or a bit of Victoriana. So it's a kind of like a mix of different inspirations that I always think that I revisit in a way.
To celebrate the 10th birthday of his couture workshop, French designer Stéphane Rolland has organised a show at the Opéra Bastille. Although there's no hint of revolution to be seen, it's all about well-balanced and nuanced glamour.
This collection is very me. It's very graphic, lots of black and white. It's inspired by works of art. It's all about levity. I drew inspiration from the painter Calder, along with some other artists. It's fresh, but there's also strength there. There are quite a few three-dimensional effects. There's metal. There are flames coming out of the body. It's very me. I think I maybe bring a little subtlety to the proceedings, some richness and sometimes even some fragility.
The House of Azzaro is celebrating its 50th birthday. The label struggled to find a place for itself in the 21st century. Maxime Simoins hopes he can change that.
The house's DNA is sexy, it's glamorous, it's steamy, sultry. My DNA is more about the architecture, the structure of the clothes. I bring something very graphic, almost statuesque, and I really wanted to combine these two impulses.
The collection is peppered with plastic and neoprene details.
This is a much more draped version of sexy, very 70s, 80s, the golden years of Loris Azzaro. I really wanted to reference that feeling. For me, each era has that sort of woman. Someone who wants to be carnal, sexy, someone who wants to show off their body. It's a timeless desire.
Japanese designer Yuma Nakazato has called his collection Freedom. He dreams of a world in which all clothes are tailor-made. And it may not be so far away. Nakazato wants to do away with needle and thread and turn instead to the possibilities afforded by 3D printing. Having a show in Paris is a major goal for most designers. Antonio Ortega's managed to secure the capital's French car club.
The space I've chosen is magnificent. There's real strength in all those books. The mise-en-scène is designed so that the spirit of this autumn-winter collection really comes alive.
Put your shoes, girl, online, please.
Ortega is the only Mexican designer with a show during Haute Couture Fashion Week. At 8, he was already hand-sewing dresses, and by the year 2000, he was studying to become a stylist in Paris.
It's a very personal collection. I was really inspired by my partner's Scottish roots, photos of the Scottish countryside. And now that I live in Montreal, I really wanted to use those colors too for this autumn-winter collection.
Gyunel Rustamova was born in Baku in Azerbaijan. She initially studied economics, but went on to settle in London as an artist. But painting 2D surfaces wasn't quite enough for her.
I get my inspiration from what I painted, and then sometimes that painting we transfer to graphic design, and from graphic design development it gets transferred to like jacquards, like silk crepe de chines, and on top of that we get a lot of embroidery work, like hours and hours of embroidery work, and then we make pattern and then the piece.
Rustomova also finds inspiration in the films of Luc Besson. Lucy is a particular favourite, in which the protagonist gains psychokinetic abilities when a synthetic drug is absorbed into her bloodstream.
I was really inspired by that because she gets very powerful by being drugged, and it's about female empowerment. At the end, she kind of becomes so powerful. It's really exciting to watch. So she was my inspiration as a woman.
My last question, you don't take any drugs?
I don't take any drugs, which today would help actually because it's very hectic backstage, so very nervous right now, to be honest.
This winter's couture offering is impressive, but it's also big business. The global luxury goods market grew by 5% this year alone.